There's something we do hundreds of times a day without even noticing it. It's an ability that we utterly depend on in our lives, yet we take it for granted. Just watch. We see some lines and can give them meaning. We can tell one shape from another. And we understand that an arrangement of colours can represent something. The ability to read images is an essential part of our lives. But what if we didn't have this ability? Imagine we couldn't understand images. What would our world be like? Well, for a start, images would never have been invented. We'd have lost something we totally rely on. Life would be impossible, and our world would be unrecognizable. But at some point in our ancient past, that's what the world looked like, imageless. Now, of course, pictures dominate our lives. Well, this is the extraordinary story of how we humans discovered the power of images and how they created the world we live in today. How long has it taken for you to realise that I'm drawing a horse? A second? A fraction of a second? We can tell what a two-dimensional image represents almost instantaneously, without even having to think about it. I'm not much of an artist, but even I can arrange a collection of pencil lines on a piece of paper so you see what I want you to see. And I don't do just horses. I could draw almost anything in the world, and you'd probably guess what it was. But there must have been some point in our human story when we first got this ability. Some moment in time when we began to create pictures and to understand what they meant. So what happened back then? How did we first get this ability to create images? To find the answer, we need to go way back in time. What if we go back 2,000 years? This is the image of a horse from classical antiquity. It was made to decorate a Roman household about 100 years before Christ. And clearly, the artists here had no problems with two-dimensional representation. We've gone back another 1,000 years to 1200 BC. This tiny fragment comes from ancient Egypt, and the person who painted it knew perfectly well how to represent something in the world around them. We're going to have to go back much, much further. This is northern Spain, a place called Altamira. We've come here because towards the end of the 19th century, a discovery was made at Altamira that would radically alter our understanding of when the world's first images were created. This historic discovery was made by a 9-year-old girl. Her name was Maria.
Maria.
She was the daughter of Marcelino de Sautuola, a local Spanish nobleman who was also an amateur archaeologist. He'd become intrigued by Altamira, and in autumn 1879, Maria and her father paid the cave a visit.
This was a cave that was completely unknown until a few years before. Even though I was a mere amateur, I was determined to undertake my own investigations.
As a gentleman scholar, de Sautuola took a serious interest in finding out more about the prehistoric past. But like other archaeologists of the day, he assumed that the people who'd once settled or sheltered in these caves were little more than savages, uncouth, lowbrow, hardly better than apes, and certainly incapable of any kind of creative achievement.
I hoped that through these investigations we would manage to tear away the thick veil that separates us from the origins and customs of the ancient inhabitants of these mountains.
Now, de Sautuola had come to the cave to excavate the floor, to poke around for prehistoric relics such as bones and tools. It was Maria who made the discovery for which Altamira became famous.
Papa. Look, oxen.
I was overcome with amazement. What I saw made me so excited I could hardly speak.
Young Maria had caught sight of the first gallery of prehistoric paintings ever to be discovered. Now, many more have since come to light in caves all around the world, but these at Altamira are still considered among the most beautiful. Dominating the ceiling were dozens of paintings of aurochs, a species of ox that had long been extinct. They appeared to be standing, sleeping, and running. As soon as he saw them, de Sautuola was convinced that the images had been painted by prehistoric people. But others weren't so sure. When de Sautuola announced his discovery to the world, archaeologists immediately began to question its authenticity. The images were simply too good. It was unthinkable that they'd been created by prehistoric savages. Experts claimed that the paintings had been faked and that de Sautuola was either the victim or perpetrator of a hoax.